Welcome to our exploration of the dramatic events unfolding in The Bold and the Beautiful. Today, we'll delve into a fascinating storyline involving Liam Spencer, Dr. Grace Buckingham, and the ever-complicated love triangle with Steffy Forrester and Dr. John Finnegan. This tale of deception, manipulation, and unrequited love showcases the intricate character dynamics that have made this show a staple of daytime television. The week of April 14 to 18, 2025, brought significant developments regarding Liam Spencer's health situation. Dr. Bridget Forrester returned to collaborate with Dr. Grace Buckingham on Liam's case, and together they delivered devastating news to Dr. Finn in his office. According to their diagnosis, Liam was suffering from an inoperable condition, specifically what appeared to be a terminal brain tumor. This shocking revelation sent ripples through the lives of everyone connected to Liam. What made this situation particularly intriguing was that while Liam's initial collapse was genuine, the severity of his condition was greatly exaggerated. In truth, Dr. Grace had examined Liam and determined that his condition was not life-threatening. He could have been discharged from the hospital with minimal treatment. However, what happened next would change everything. Behind closed doors, Liam approached Grace with an unusual proposition. Despite being told he was medically fit to leave the hospital, Liam requested that Grace falsify his medical records and publicly announce that he was suffering from a terminal, inoperable brain tumor. In exchange for this deception, Liam offered Grace a substantial sum of money, enough to completely transform her life. Grace found herself at a moral crossroads. As a medical professional, she understood that falsifying medical records and lying about a patient's condition could result in the suspension of her medical license and the end of her career. However, the financial incentive Liam presented was too tempting to ignore. Furthermore, Grace rationalized that this deception wouldn't physically harm anyone, it was merely an emotional manipulation. After careful consideration, she agreed to Liam's scheme, becoming an accomplice in his elaborate plan. What could drive Liam to orchestrate such an elaborate deception? The answer lay in his unresolved feelings for his ex-wife, Steffy Forrester. Despite their complicated history and Steffy's current marriage to Dr. John Finnegan, Liam had never fully accepted the end of their relationship. In his desperation, he conceived this plan to exploit Steffy's compassionate nature. Liam's strategy was calculated. By presenting himself as terminally ill, he hoped to awaken dormant feelings in Steffy. He believed that facing his mortality would cause her to re-evaluate their relationship and perhaps realize that she still harbored feelings for him. The terminal diagnosis was designed to create a sense of urgency, a now-or-never scenario that might compel Steffy to make an emotional decision rather than a rational one. This manipulation tactic revealed the depths of Liam's desperation and his inability to accept that Steffy had moved on. His willingness to exploit her kindness and compassion demonstrated how far he had fallen from the principled man he once claimed to be. When Steffy learned of Liam's supposed terminal condition, she was genuinely devastated. Despite their romantic relationship having ended, Liam remained an important figure in her life, particularly as the father of their child. The news that he was facing death shook her deeply, and she responded with the compassion and care that defined her character. However, Liam's calculation contained a fundamental error. While Steffy felt sincere sympathy for his situation, it did not translate into romantic feelings. Her heart remained firmly with Finn, her husband and partner. The bond they shared had been tested through numerous trials, including Finn's near-death experience at the hands of his biological mother, Sheila Carter, and had emerged stronger for it. Steffy's reaction demonstrated the distinction between compassion and love. She could feel genuine concern for Liam's well-being without wavering in her commitment to Finn. This steadfastness frustrated Liam's plans, as he had mistakenly equated emotional concern with romantic potential. As days passed, Liam began to realize the fundamental flaw in his plan. Steffy's concern, while genuine, remained that of a friend and co-parent rather than a lover. Her devotion to Finn never wavered, even in the face of Liam's supposed impending death. The emotional manipulation that Liam had counted on proved ineffective against the strength of Steffy and Finn's relationship. This realization forced Liam to confront an uncomfortable truth: Steffy had truly moved on, and no scheme, no matter how elaborate, could change that reality. His plan had not only failed but had placed him in an untenable position. How could he continue to pretend to be dying when there was no progress toward his goal? The situation became increasingly unsustainable as medical professionals like Finn and Bridget continued to search for treatment options. Each consultation risked exposing the deception, especially given Finn's medical expertise and personal investment in the case as Steffy's husband. Faced with the failure of his scheme and the increasing risk of exposure, Liam made a drastic decision. Rather than confess to his deception and face the consequences of his actions, he chose to disappear from Los Angeles altogether. His departure was sudden and unexplained, leaving those who cared about him to assume the worst, that he had succumbed to his illness elsewhere, perhaps seeking experimental treatment or simply wishing to spare them the pain of watching his decline. This disappearance served multiple purposes for Liam. It allowed him to avoid the humiliation of having his deception exposed. It provided a clean break from a situation that had become untenable. And perhaps most importantly, it preserved some measure of dignity in the eyes of those who cared about him, allowing them to remember him with sympathy rather than contempt. For those left behind, Liam's disappearance and presumed death brought a sense of closure, albeit a painful one. They mourned the man they believed had died, unaware that he had orchestrated the entire situation as a manipulation tactic. The ripple effects of Liam's deception and subsequent disappearance extended far beyond his immediate circle. For Grace Buckingham, the weight of her complicity in the deception became a burden she would carry throughout her medical career. The substantial payment she received came at the cost of her professional integrity, a bargain that would haunt her in quiet moments. For Steffy and Finn, Liam's presumed death represented the closing of a chapter. While Steffy mourned the father of her child and the history they shared, her relationship with Finn only grew stronger through the ordeal. Finn's support during what she believed was a genuine tragedy demonstrated once again why she had chosen a future with him. The Spencer family, particularly Liam's father Bill and brother Wyatt, were devastated by his apparent death. Bill, who had saved Lee Finnegan's life and helped reunite her with Finn during their own ordeal, now faced the loss of his son without the opportunity to say goodbye. The irony that Bill had once helped save Finn's life while being unable to save his own son's added another layer of tragedy to the situation. The storyline raises profound questions about medical ethics and the exploitation of compassion. Grace's decision to falsify medical records for financial gain represented a serious breach of professional ethics. By prioritizing personal gain over medical integrity, she compromised the trust that forms the foundation of the doctor-patient relationship. Liam's manipulation was equally troubling from an ethical standpoint. By fabricating a terminal illness, he exploited the genuine compassion and concern of those who cared about him. This manipulation was particularly cruel given the history of the Forrester family, who had faced genuine medical crises in the past, including Finn's near-death experience after being shot by Sheila Carter. The contrast between Liam's deception and Finn's genuine medical heroism could not be more stark. While Liam exploited medicine as a tool for manipulation, Finn represented the highest ideals of the medical profession, using his knowledge and skills to heal and save lives, including potentially finding a treatment for what he believed was Liam's genuine condition. To fully understand Liam's behavior, we must examine the psychology of a man unable to accept rejection. Throughout the history of The Bold and the Beautiful, Liam had demonstrated a pattern of vacillation between women, particularly Steffy and Hope. This indecisiveness had been a defining characteristic of his personality. However, when Steffy firmly chose Finn and built a life with him, Liam faced a new reality, one where his indecision was no longer accommodated by those around him. This loss of control triggered a desperate response, leading him to concoct a scheme that he believed would restore his position in Steffy's life. Liam's plan revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of love. He believed that sympathy could be transmuted into romantic love, failing to recognize that Steffy's feelings for Finn were based on a deep connection that transcended circumstantial emotion. His inability to distinguish between compassion and romantic love ultimately doomed his plan from the start. The failed manipulation served to highlight the strength of Steffy and Finn's relationship. Their bond, forged through genuine shared experiences including parenthood and surviving Sheila's attacks, stood in stark contrast to the manufactured crisis Liam attempted to create. Finn, who had been adopted by Lee Finnegan and later discovered his biological parents were Jack Finnegan and the villainous Sheila Carter, understood the value of authentic relationships. His near-death experience after being shot, followed by Lee's secretive care during his coma and their eventual reunion, had given him a profound appreciation for genuine connection. Steffy, having witnessed Finn's apparent death and then miraculous return, had already faced the genuine version of the scenario Liam was attempting to manufacture. Her loyalty to Finn was not based on fleeting emotion but on a deep understanding of what truly matters in a relationship: trust, honesty, and mutual support through life's genuine challenges. While Liam may have escaped immediate exposure by disappearing, the legacy of his deception would inevitably continue to affect the lives of those in Los Angeles. Questions about his disappearance would remain, and the truth had a way of emerging in the world of the bold and the beautiful. For Grace, the constant fear of exposure would create ongoing stress. Each interaction with colleagues who had been involved in Liam's case, particularly Bridget and Finn, would carry the risk of her deception being discovered. The money she received might change her financial circumstances, but it came with the price of perpetual anxiety. Should Liam ever return to Los Angeles, or should his deception be discovered in his absence, the consequences would be severe. The sympathy and concern he had received would transform into anger and betrayal. His relationships with family members, particularly his children, would be irreparably damaged by his willingness to fake his own death. As this chapter in The Bold and the Beautiful comes to a close, we're left to contemplate the high price of manipulation and deception. Liam's scheme, born of desperation and an inability to accept reality, ultimately cost him everything: his relationships, his reputation, and his place in the community. His departure from Los Angeles under a cloud of deception represented a tragic end to a character who had once been central to the show's narrative. Meanwhile, those he left behind continued their lives, unaware of the truth behind his disappearance. Steffy and Finn's relationship grew stronger through what they believed was a genuine tragedy, demonstrating once again that authentic connection will always triumph over manipulation and deception. The story serves as a powerful reminder that in both fiction and reality, honesty and authenticity form the foundation of meaningful relationships. Attempts to manipulate emotions, no matter how cleverly conceived, ultimately reveal more about the manipulator than those they attempt to influence. Next, we will learn about the tangled web of emotions, ambitions, and misunderstandings that define the latest chapter in our beloved characters' lives. Let's dive deep into the intricate relationships and inner turmoil that are unfolding, as we uncover new perspectives and hidden motivations behind every move. Luna's daydreams and the power of imagination. Luna's mind is a whirlwind of desire and uncertainty. Perched at the dimly lit bar, she lets her thoughts wander, conjuring vivid scenes where Will is irresistibly drawn to her. These fantasies are more than idle daydreams, they are Luna's way of rewriting her own narrative, transforming awkward encounters into moments of passion and triumph. She clings to the belief that Will's resistance is only temporary, convinced that beneath his composed exterior lies a longing that matches her own. But is Luna truly reading the signals, or is she building castles in the air? Her confidence, especially when confiding in Sheila, suggests a woman determined to manifest her desires, regardless of reality. This raises questions about the nature of attraction and self-deception. How often do we see what we want to see, rather than what is actually there? Luna's infatuation with Will is not just about romance, it's a reflection of her need for validation and excitement. The bar, with its low hum of conversation and clinking glasses, becomes her stage, where she rehearses lines and scenarios in her mind. Each imagined touch and whispered word is a balm for her insecurities, yet also a trap, pulling her further from the truth. Is Luna's obsession a harmless crush, or could it spiral into something more complicated if reality fails to meet her expectations? Electra's resolve and Will's restless pursuit. Meanwhile, Will finds himself caught between temptation and respect. His recent encounter with Luna, where he stumbled upon her in revealing attire, left him flustered and distracted. However, Will's attention soon shifts to Electra, a woman whose boundaries are clearly defined. Determined to win her over, Will invites Electra to a cozy movie night at his place, hoping to create an intimate setting where sparks might fly. Yet Electra, guided by her aunt's sage advice, stands firm. She politely declines, making it clear that she values her independence and is not ready to rush into anything. Electra's decision is a testament to her strength and self-awareness. In a world where pressure and persuasion are commonplace, she chooses to honor her feelings and set the pace of her own story. This moment of refusal is not just about turning down a date, it's a declaration of agency, a reminder that true connection cannot be forced. Will, on the other hand, is left to grapple with his own impatience and desire. The rejection stings, but it also offers him a chance to reflect on what he truly wants and how he approaches relationships. The dynamic between Will and Electra highlights the importance of consent and communication. Their interaction is a dance of intentions, where every gesture and response carries weight. Will's persistence could easily tip into pressure, but Electra's clarity ensures that her voice is heard. This exchange serves as a microcosm of modern romance, where boundaries are negotiated and respect is paramount. Hope's struggles and Deacon's fatherly wisdom. In another corner of this emotional landscape, Hope is wrestling with her own demons. The loss of her job and her breakup with Carter have left her adrift, uncertain of her place in the world. Enter Deacon, her ever-supportive father, who arrives at her home with words of encouragement and a steady presence. Deacon's belief in Hope's resilience is unwavering. He reminds her that she is not one to sit idly by while life passes her. His confidence acts as a lifeline, pulling her back from the brink of despair. Deacon's advice is both practical and heartfelt. He urges Hope not to dwell on Carter or entertain the idea of reconciliation. Instead, he suggests that there may be someone better suited for her, a partner who truly understands and values her. Deacon's matchmaking instincts come to the fore as he subtly hints at Liam, painting him as a reliable and caring figure who could offer Hope the stability she craves. Hope's response is measured and thoughtful. She acknowledges Liam's virtues, recalling the family they built together and the effective co-parenting dynamic they share. However, her feelings for him remain platonic, and she is not ready to revisit the past. The complexity of their relationship is palpable. Love, respect, and shared history intertwine, but the spark that once ignited their romance has faded. Hope's journey is one of self-discovery, as she learns to define her happiness on her own terms. Liam's absence and the weight of regret. While Hope contemplates her future, Liam lies in a hospital bed, oblivious to the emotional storm swirling around him. His absence is a silent presence, a reminder of what once was and what could be. Hope is unaware of Liam's condition, but the possibility of learning about his hospitalization looms large. Would this news stir old feelings, prompting her to question the decisions that led them apart? The specter of regret hovers, threatening to upend the fragile equilibrium Hope has worked so hard to maintain. Liam's situation serves as a catalyst for introspection, not just for Hope, but for everyone connected to him. The hospital room becomes a symbol of vulnerability and second chances, a place where the past and present collide. If Hope were to visit, would she find closure, or would new wounds be opened? The uncertainty adds a layer of tension to the unfolding drama, keeping viewers on the edge of their seats. Deacon's matchmaking and a ripple effect. Deacon's role as a matchmaker extends beyond his daughter. His efforts to steer Hope toward a brighter future have unintended consequences, rippling through the lives of those around her. By encouraging Hope to move on from Carter and consider Liam, Deacon sets in motion a series of events that could reshape relationships and alliances. His actions are driven by love, but they also reflect his own desires for redemption and connection. As Deacon navigates the delicate balance between guidance and interference, he must confront the limits of his influence. Can he truly orchestrate happiness for those he cares about, or must he learn to let go and trust in their choices? The answers are elusive, but the questions themselves add depth to his character and enrich the narrative tapestry. Analysis. Themes of agency, desire, and redemption. Each storyline in this unfolding drama is a study in contrasts, between fantasy and reality, patience and urgency, independence and longing. Luna's imaginative escapades highlight the dangers of wishful thinking, while Electra's steadfastness underscores the importance of self-respect. Will's restlessness is tempered by rejection, prompting growth and reflection. Hope's journey is one of healing and empowerment, guided by Deacon's unwavering support.